Jimmy, we have two muscles we length test. So we have a one joint muscle and a two joint muscle of the calf. So we have our gastroc and our soleus. And so for a two joint muscle, what do we know about length testing a two joint muscle? Who said shorten it?
Lengthen it.
We want to lengthen it. If we're doing a length test, it has length right in the name of the test. So the gastroc is a two joint muscle that crosses the knee, as we saw when we were looking in the popliteal fossa, and then of course across the ankle. So what position do we need to put it in at the knee? Extension. Good. Extension is going to be the position that lengthens the gastroc. So for those of you who are measuring goniometric ankle dorsiflexion with the knee straight, you're actually doing a muscle length test for the gastroc. Okay? So remember that you need the knee bent when you're simply measuring range of motion at the ankle. Okay? So Jimmy, I'm going to scoot this way for you. You can leave this one up here. You're going to go straight. Everything else about the gastroc length test is exactly the same as measuring dorsiflexion. You just now have the knee straight. Okay? So you're going to be passively, because it's a muscle length test, pulling the person into dorsiflexion and taking that measurement with the alignment just as we had before. Okay? So again, the only difference is that knee position. So now, if we're measuring length of a one joint muscle that has a joint in common with a two joint muscle, how do we measure the length of that one joint muscle?
Shorten the two joint muscle.
Right. We want to put the two joint muscle on slack so that we can then measure the joint motion and that two joint muscle is no longer in play.
Are you talking about the soleus?
Yes.
Okay.
So how do we shorten the gastroc? We bend to the knee again. So that one of the two gastroc length tests, the supine soleus length test is the exact same test as the ankle dorsiflexion goniometric test. Okay? So the supine soleus test is exactly the same as how we would goniometrically measure the ankle. So when do we decide to call that a soleus length test and not just ankle dorsiflexion, passive range of motion?
End feel.
Yes. So if the end feel is muscular, we might want to document it as a length test. If it's capsular or bony or empty or anything but muscular, we would probably document that under range of motion. Okay. Now the other way that you can test a soleus length is in prone. So I'm going to have you lie prone for me, Jimmy.
It's the same norm.
So the norm is going to be what normal range of motion is for ankle dorsiflexion.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So for measuring soleus length in prone, you're going to have the knee bent to 90, and then you're going to pull the person into dorsiflexion. And again, the goniometric, because we're shortening the gastroc again here, right? And so you can measure it that way. Okay, but the goniometer placement is going to be exactly the same. All right, so our muscle length tests for the ankle are really just something you need to think about, but it's the exact same technique that you would use for measuring ankle dorsiflexion. All right? Okay. So I'm going to have you flip back over again for me. So we're going to get into